Okay, so this is going to be a review video. I watched the series like a while ago, actually. So I'm late to talking about it. Ooh, it is 36 episodes long, and they're like an hour or more each episode. So I mean, it's when I say that I like binge like K dramas and C dramas, I mean that I binge. I mean that I have finished it in less than a week. And that was including me doing all the things I'm supposed to as a single parent and working full time. So I was really into the series. It's more than a couple years since the last episode. I think the last episode was sometime in fall, but it was 2022. So I didn't watch it until this year. So a lot of the K dramas and C dramas, a lot of that stuff I don't see until a year or two later. Sometimes because I happen to follow certain actors or actresses. Like when I watch a K drama or a C drama, and I really love it. I really love the way the character was shining because the actor actress, like just the way that they did everything, the way that they brought them to life. I will go in search of their social media so I can add them, and I have so many now I've added, because then I might get updates if they have other series that I might want to watch. So I do the same when it comes to music. Like I will listen to songs from like OSTs, and so if I really love a song, I will go in search of that OST. I don't care if I have to look it up by lyrics. I have to, I look up by the series and say OST for this series. I will listen to an entire album or two just to find that one song that I really, really liked so I can add it to whatever playlist I have. And then I'll add like the band, the group, whatever. So that's what I do is I will add, and then I'll add like every member of the group if it is a group, because what if they have other songs that I might like? So I like to collect things and gather, so that hey, if I like this, I might like this. So sometimes I will get a more recent K drama or C drama that I might watch. But most of the time I'm like catching up where everyone else was like, yeah, I saw it when it came out. I'm like, okay, I'm a little late to the party, but okay. So yeah, I'm a couple years past for the series, but I really loved it. Not just because I love fantasy and I love romantasy and I love like action and adventure and thriller and just I love twists and turns. And by thriller, I also mean like mystery stuff, like mystery thriller, suspense. I don't like horror or scary movies. Like I've watched quite a few and I like there are some good ones out there. I think the closest to a scary movie that I actually enjoy like the series is Scream. Like I actually liked that. I liked the original, I think, a bit more than any of the others, but that's just me. Um but I'm very much a fan of like Agatha Christie, Sue Grafton. Like I really love that kind of mystery, murder mystery, that kind of stuff. Like I really love that kind of mystery thriller suspense. And I also grew up, reading Goosebumps. So like I really enjoyed that kind of element. This series did not have much of that as far as like the murder mystery kind of thing. But it did have mystery. It did have some twists and turns. It did have some surprises, which I really liked. It had definitely lots of action. Um, it had the perfect amount of drama mixed with the action, as well as the romance, and nothing was too over the top. That's the other thing too, is that sometimes you want something that's really cheesy or over the top, or you want something that's very hallmarky. You want that. You want it to just be over exaggerated or just goofy or just like there's no way, but you like it. Like sometimes you enjoy those kind of things. This was not it. This was not over exaggerated or anything. I will give some spoilers, but not too many. I do not like giving too many spoilers whenever I do any reviews of anything. Real quick, by the way, this is just my opinion. This is just me expressing my love for this and enjoyment and just wanting others to know about it. You don't have to go watch it. I am not getting paid to do any of this. Any review, any product, anything that I express love for, I'm not getting paid for. I'm not endorsed by anyone. I'm not doing this for like to get more views or followers or anything like that. I'm just expressing something that I enjoy. So that's just how to get that out there. Um, and this is just from me. So there might be people out there who did not enjoy it as much as I did. That's fine. That's okay. You don't have to. Um, but okay. So anyway, trying to get back on track. Um, So yeah, I don't like to give too many spoilers because I want people to go in and experience it for themselves. I don't want to like give the entire plot away. I mean there are some things I might give more plot to, especially if it's been out for a while, like a certain book or movie or whatever, where it's like, okay, I've given you plenty of time, so if you haven't seen it by now, I mean, you don't have to watch this or whatever if you know you don't want spoilers, but this is not one of those. Um I do try to warn people though, if there's like certain elements that they may be upset with. This one, it I guess the trigger warning would be loss of a loved one, desperation, turning to darkness because you're desperate to save the one you love. That is one element of it. Love between fairy and devil, there are so many intricacies throughout. There's so many individual storylines that can interconnect and weave together to create this masterpiece. And that I think that's what I enjoy about a lot of K-dramas and C-dramas, is because that is kind of the formula. And it has a little bit of everything, but it's not overdone. Now, I'm sure there are K-dramas and C-dramas that I may not think that about, that I may not like as much as other people, or I'm just not into. I haven't found any yet. So, um, honestly, at the loss of a dear friend of mine a couple years ago, I kind of turned to K-drama. It wasn't that I wasn't aware of K-dramas or K-pop or anything. It wasn't like I wasn't aware of like Chinese or Japanese dramas or Thai dramas or like anything online. It's not like I wasn't aware of that stuff. I did take Japanese for 2 years in community college, and I'm really big avid fan of anime, and I do watch anime still, but I wasn't as into foreign dramas, and it wasn't any particular reason. It wasn't because like I had a certain opinion about it. I just had never really gotten into it, and well, maybe also because I didn't have access to a way to watch them before, but now I do. But it's just after that loss, and then before that loss there was a couple other losses. One of them happened to be someone that I served in the Navy with. So it was hard, and I felt like I needed to get into something else. Like, I am an avid reader and I read tons of books all the time, but I just was taking a break from reading and taking a break from writing because it's just too much. It meant that I had to think. And even though, yes, I do have to kind of read the subtitles because I'm the kind that prefers subtitled over dubbed. That's just me. That's my preference. I don't mind dubbed anime. I mean, I love the voice actors. They do a great job. But I do prefer sub over dub. That's just me. So that's what I do with all the K-dramas and C-dramas I've been watching. More K-dramas than C-dramas. I've started getting more into C-dramas lately, like this one. But I started diving into this because I needed some sort of outlet. I needed something where I didn't have to constantly think. And then I discovered how emotional you can get watching these dramas. And I broke down a lot during this drama, during Love Between Fairy and Devil. It just, ooh, is buckle up. It's quite a ride. At least for me it was. I I do love fantasy. I do love romance. I do love, all the things I already mentioned. But there was this undertone of grief throughout the series that just really got to me. Um, I mean, the premise is that, a kind of low level fairy from the heavens kind of acts like she's crushing on this one dude who is like supposed to be above her station. And, she knows that they can't ever be together because, the whole classes thing, which is still prevalent in all societies, unfortunately. But anyway, so she's crushing on this dude, and she kind of has, I'm not going to go into the details of it too much, but basically she finds out that something bad could happen to him. So she tries to go to be like, to rescue him, to assist him in some way. And she unwittingly releases what's considered like the devil, like the most powerful, like, demon-like creature in the realm. And he was contained in this, like this monolith, this tower. That part I can't remember. But basically this place, he was contained in this place, this celestial place, this prison basically. And somehow she releases him. There's also some body swapping, like they accidentally swap bodies. And when I tell you that these actors are just, oh my gosh, they are so amazing, because it's perfection how they have their expressions. Because Esther Yu, like she's like the MC, the female lead, and her character, which actually she also was in Love Game and Eastern Fantasy, and she did phenomenal that, and I really love that one too. I'll do another review of that one, but anyway, both those characters that she played kind of come off as like ditzy, goofy, naive, well-meaning, well-intended, but just messes up a lot. And she's not like a complete pushover, but it's kind of like she's been put down to the point where it's like, I know my place. I know that I shouldn't do this or that. She does have a backbone, but she tries to be kind to everyone. She tries to give people the benefit of the doubt. She is very compassionate and very caring, but she does come off as very ditzy. So she has that kind of very wide-eyed kind of expression, the very happy-go-lucky expression. Like, I want to be peppy and happy and bring joy to people, but I kind of mess up here, and sometimes this happens, and I am well-intended, but then that happened. Like, that's just the kind of character that she is, right? But the actress she is able to bring this very wide-eyed, very bubbly, naive kind of character to life, right? And then, of course, the devil is basically played by Dylan Wang. He has this very broody, very angry, very like I am powerful, I should be feared aura. I mean, he's kind of earned that title, right? So when they swap bodies and they have to bring on the personality of the other, it is so beautiful. Like he's able to do this wide-eyed, like, no, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then of course, like in her body, he's just like, and it's just so awesome seeing them do those expressions and bring out the personality of the other characters so well. Like that's beautiful. It doesn't last throughout the entire series, sadly. I think that would have been a lot of fun, but it does create a lot of hijinks and shenanigans, of course, especially early on in their relationship, their situationship. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just kind of like, he kind of needs her alive, otherwise he would have killed her right away, sort of thing. Like, okay, you got me out of here, but I need you alive for reasons. And I don't like that, but I have to bring you along. So basically he kind of takes her away from, her home and all that. And so she's not like a complete cowering pushover or anything like that. And I don't say that like complete as in like there is some cowering in her. Like she reacts perfectly to the realistic situation where it's like, okay, I'm scared. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know anyone here. Like I am kind of on my own. How do I get out of the situation? But she is crafty. She's crafty. And she does try to escape. She tries to escape so many times when he like kidnaps her. She tries so many options. And it's I love seeing that she's like, okay, that didn't work. I can try something else. And oh, wait. And so she is clever. She's clever. She's crafty. She's a lot more intelligent than people give her credit for. And I'm like, I kind of vibe with that a lot, actually. There are times in my life where I kind of dumbed myself down because I didn't want people knowing how smart I was or how I quickly figured things out, because I didn't want the attention on me. I didn't want people to notice me. I was like, I kind of want to blend in. I do not want to make waves. I want to survive this. But then there are times where I'm like, okay, I'm done playing along. Like I'm a lot smarter than you think I am. And so she starts to show a lot of strengths, like lots of strengths in that. So it's just during this time, there's some sort of mutual start of attraction between them. Okay. I mean, you notice it right away that there's the potential for it, right? The enemies to lovers sort of thing, which I do enjoy. I do enjoy that one. I personally am more of like a friends to lovers kind of person, because I like having a best friend. I like having someone I can vibe with, someone I can enjoy talking with or being comfortable with, because that's just my personal thing. But I do like the enemies to lovers thing. I do like the whole like, oh, I can't stand you, and then it turns into, well, okay, I think we can work with this. And so they kind of become allies in a way for a lot of things. But the entire time this is happening, there's a lot of stuff going on under the surface. And there is this mysterious figure that's kind of creating and releasing like dark energies into the world. And there's a lot of people in the celestial realm and the heavens, like there is no war in Ba Sing Se kind of vibe with a lot of those people. There really is. It's just it's ridiculous, the level. But then again, I mean, if you look at where America is right now, it's not that hard to believe, unfortunately. But anyway, so there's stuff going on under the surface, and there are people who take notice, but no one's like doing anything, because it's like there's nothing going on, or that happened so long ago, or that's gone. We haven't seen it for 1,000 years, or I don't remember how long it actually was. It could be 10,000. I think it's like 10,000 years or something like that, because they're immortals. This is fantasy. This is immortal realm. Yeah. So it's just. There's that mysterious figure, though. You find out there is a backstory. There's a reason why he is doing what he's doing. He's literally become the henchman of this very dark, evil force that wants to obliterate everything. But it's because that force is preying on that person's broken soul. The person that he loved most was killed, and kind of killed. I mean, this is like... Basically, that person that died was supposed to be the mortal enemy of our beloved devil, who the fairies mixed up with. Well, yeah. So it's basically that, and she was a warrior too. She was a very highly skilled warrior, where even the devil was like very impressed by her. Like he has a lot of respect for the battle that they had, but she basically like killed herself to entrap him. And the person who loved her, I mean, when you're desperate, you'll do anything to bring the one you love back. And if you're in this kind of realm of immortals and someone offers you that chance, I mean, she was his person. So, I mean, the things that he did was not right. I'm not excusing that. And he wasn't like completely too far off the rails, but he did some bad things, and he allowed bad things to happen. So it's like... It's that morally gray thing where I understand, but bad things happening to you does not excuse you doing bad things to others. So it's like I cannot completely excuse. I can sympathize. I can empathize, having bad things done or losing loved ones. And it's like, there's nothing I can do to change this. I am powerless against this. And even more so because I'm just a plain human, and this is like a fantasy realm. So he is in a realm where there is a potential, but there's a cost, there's a sacrifice. And so he does sacrifice others to try to bring her back. So there's that underlying storyline going on. And there's also remember that dude that I mentioned in the beginning, that higher class guy that the seemingly lower level fairy really had a crush on? You think that he might not be a central figure in the beginning of the story. You think it's going to be focused solely on the fairy and devil. Nope. He plays a very integral part, actually, when it comes to that turned henchman, when it comes to the devil, when it comes to him doing everything in his power to rescue that little fairy. So, I mean, even if I won't go into all the details, even if I won't tell you the entire story, like, this part is important. Because there is a turning point. There is a turning point where you find that he actually really loves her. But she had a chance. She had a chance to return, and she chose to stay with the devil. And it's that turning point where you kind of see that everyone's been making choices for her as far back as her memory goes. And so this is the time where she's actually making this choice for herself, is that she could have left, but she's not quite a captive anymore. Like, even though technically in the beginning she started as a captive, like, maybe it's the Beauty and the Beast, like, obsession with me. Maybe it's just because I absolutely love that story, but it really is he doesn't want to let her go because she is tied to him, like the devil. Like, he doesn't want to let her go in a way because they're tied. But he recognizes that, if she has the chance to go, she'll probably take it, and he wouldn't blame her. Like, it's like, okay, if, like, you're kind of tied to me in a way that I don't like, but I need you here, and I've warmed up to you, and I do not hate you like I used to. And he becomes very protective of her, actually. Like, really protective of her. He even rescues her from being hurt, like tortured by supposedly her own people. So it's like he even like protects her and rescues her, and like he actually starts to care for her like the devil does. But first dude, you find out that he really fell for her too. But he's thinking she's still a captive. Like, she has a bit more freedom as time goes on. And so Devil's like, you know what? I kind of like, we are tied. Our fates are tied. I can't really do too much about that right now. But if you were to leave, I would understand. Like, there's not much I could do. Like, if you really wanted to go. So when she's quote unquote getting rescued by her first crush, she chooses to stay. She actually chooses to push him out, and she kind of forces the issue. Like, the one way to get him to leave, and so she finds that way, and then he can't come back. Like, he can't easily come back to her. Like, it's some sort of magical thing that happens. But that was like a turning point for her, where you kind of see she's like, I'm kind of taking my fate into my own hands. I'm starting to make decisions for myself, and I'm choosing to stay. I'm choosing to go through these trials with you. I'm choosing to become your ally in full. And so I wasn't like, I was semi-emotional, but not like super emotional. But I was getting a little emotional, like, leading up to this part, because there's these sweet little moments in between. There's these sweet little moments here or there. As I said, like, Devil becomes very protective. You would think that it's because he's possessive, because she is a tool to him. But that's the kind of image he's trying to show. That's the image that he wants to convey to others, because he is actually a leader to his own people. He's like supposed to be the strong, feared leader. The strongest are in charge. Any kind of weakness, they'll depose him, sort of thing, So it's like he has to maintain that image. So he tries to maintain that image with her, but you can kind of see through it. You really do. Like, you see that he really does start to care for her on a lower level, and he doesn't want to admit it to himself at first, but he really starts to pay attention to her. And it's the little things, is the tiniest nuanced things too. It's not any grand gestures or anything either. It's just the smallest thing. And there's consistent smallest things happening leading up, like sweet moments that lead up to this. And so, yeah, they become a couple, but they have to work for it, because they come from different people, different cultural backgrounds, that sort of thing. A lot of the place where she was raised, and, where she was at, they're like this whole heavenly, celestial, like very highbrow kind of like, we are mightier than you, looking down on others kind of thing. Rich snob kind of vibe right there. And then of course the Devil's, people, they're seen as uncouth and, like uneducated and, and just vicious, and, the stereotype. Mm-hmm. No, I shouldn't even say stereotype. I should say just bald-faced lies. Yeah, no, you know what I'm talking about. But she starts to really digest all the cultural stuff. She starts to learn and study and grow within that area, within the palace that he has. Like, she starts to explore it. She starts to familiarize herself with everything around her, the people. She starts to make friends with others, and she has that charisma that you can see hints of in the beginning. Like, she comes off as more peppy in the beginning of the series, And, as I said, like, just Google, naive and just happy and just, I'm trying to bring joy, blah, blah, blah. But as I said, she's crafty, she's clever, and she oozes charm in just the right way to make friends. And in the beginning, it seems like she's doing it because she wants to escape. But she's actually building bridges and relationships with people and making friendships and kind of bonding with people along the way, so that when she does make that pivotal choice to stay and be with the devil, like actually in a romantic relationship, but also like as his equal, because he starts to see her as his equal, then it just, those bonds kind of become tighter, and it kind of even though there is a majority of people who are against their union, there are people who defend her, who stand up for her and be like, this, we do approve of this, we like her, she isn't what we thought she was, and we weren't what she thought we were, and she has given us a chance and tried to understand us, and she listened to us. Because that's the thing too, is that she's actually a really good listener. She listens and she absorbs the information. She's really smart, a lot smarter than people give her credit for. And so at that point where she has to prove herself to a good part of the naysayers, like, she proves herself. She sacrifices a lot, and it is a devastating kind of sacrifice. And on the heels of that devastating sacrifice, there's a war brewing. And so I was already starting to get more and more emotional with their relationship, with what they had to do to get to that point. And then it gets to the war. And that's the part where I was just broken. Because you get to this point where she has slowly been healing parts of the devil's soul that were cracked and bleeding. And she didn't do this, like, she started doing this not at the very beginning either. Not when she was like trying to escape or anything, when she was like, I'm a captive and trying to escape. No, it was, she started noticing those details too. Like, he started noticing things in her, she started noticing things in him. And she made a conscious effort to learn about him, it's not like she's trying to heal him because she thought something was wrong with him. It's that she saw he was in pain and she wanted to be there for him. And she was trying to find the best way to do that without overstepping. And that really got to me, because I'm the kind of person that there are pieces of me that will never be fully healed. I'm not looking for anyone to heal me. I'm not looking for anyone to fix me. I'm not trying to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with me inherently as a person. But I want people to understand and listen how they can be there for me, And so she was doing that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, to have a person like that in my life, that, other than the very close friends I already do have, but in, I guess, a relationship, like that's the kind of thing that I really would like, something. And that's the kind of thing that I've tried to be for others. I've tried to be that healing factor for others. And I had to realize, unfortunately, that they weren't really looking to be healed. And some of them, they were never broken. They just pretended because they wanted my efforts, because they wanted to kind of snag me. And those were the more abusive types that I've been with. So this whole healing thing, I learned, like, you can't heal everyone. And a lot of times, most of the time, I'm going to say like majority of the time, you shouldn't try. You shouldn't try to heal someone or fix someone or think that there's something wrong with someone so that they have to be fixed. It's, things happen. You cannot change that. But you can adapt and grow and learn how you can work with that person, learn what is going on with them, how you can be there for them, how you can support them. And that's something that it's really hard. It's a very trepidatious sort of path to be on, because people are individuals. People are multifaceted. They're not linear. It's the path when it comes to self-healing is not straight. It's not. But she took notice. She took notice of the things for healing. And so they by this point that I'm talking about, right before this like all-out war, they have gone through so much together. So much. This is like halfway through the series, by the way. Like, well, 3/4 of the way. And it's not only that they sacrifice to be together to prove that, they belong together to his people, even if, her people was like still against the whole thing, you know, but it's they were learning how to support and love each other and be each other's equal in everything. And so it was this point where it's like she was going to become not just like pretty much like an empress. Like she's just pretty much being like she's going to be like the highest level. But instead of being like to the side like other rulers were, like his father and other people before them, she was going to be an equal this time, and she's going to have a say in what happens with his people. And so she was going to be sitting side by side with him on that throne. And you got to this point where the people rejoiced. They were happy about this, happy about them marrying and being together. And like, you know what? She brings a level of compassion and kindness, and she's actually listening to people and trying to help them problem solve things if there's any issues. She is respectful of our culture. And so it's like, it was like this perfect union sort of moment where it's like, this could be my happy ending. This could be what I have always wanted and never knew I wanted. And everything is going to be upended. And so it was this kind of grief I felt that they went through all that and worked so hard to get to this point, and they got to this point, and then it's about to end. Like it's and they can feel it. It is this tension in the air. You can feel it. And I was really emotional. I was crying because it was really hard to see the expressions on the actors' faces. Like they did a really good job, where it's like, we've gotten to this point and everything's going to be taken from us now. And so we have to fight more so that we can continue this, so we can continue doing what we want for each other and for our people. Like this is what we want in life. Why can't we be left alone, And then the actual war. And I'm not going to go into the why of this, because that will give too much of it away. I'm trying to avoid talking about the underlying plot. And yes, that henchman comes into play. That I call him the henchman. He really deserves more than that. But I also cannot pronounce a lot of these names. Sorry. So that's why I'm trying to like put to, I'm really sorry. I know that may seem very disrespectful, but I cannot pronounce a lot of the Chinese names, even the characters' names. I can't, and I'm not going to try to butcher it. So I'm just respectfully just going to say henchman, even though he's much more than that. He's like the morally, well, no, I wouldn't even say morally great. He's the straight up villain, but I want to say henchman because he is the henchman of the actual villain. So he's the villain henchman, but henchman comes into play here. He plays a very pivotal role, very pivotal. And there's just all out like bloodshed. There's all out lots of stuff going on. And mind you, even though I haven't really said it out loud, I mentioned all those sweet moments between the fairy and devil. He is showing that, like, leading up to this point, that he is a super romantic guy. Like, he is super, super romantic. Like, the lengths he goes to show his love, to show his romantic side, is just so freaking adorable. He's just like this cute puppy, like, ooh, he's so, like, I just love it because he's so sweet with her. He like tries to keep that all like fearful, like warmonger leader type of image, but he just can't with her. Like oh my gosh, he's such a romantic. And so he's like, there's so many sweet moments. When I may say sweet moments, I mean like he's very romantic with her, and he woos her, and he's just, oh, it is beautiful. I love it. And but he takes care, as I said, he pays attention to her. He takes care to notice what she would like and dislike, and he makes a lot of mistakes, But he apologizes for it. Like he actually is like, any mistake he makes, he apologizes and he's like, I was wrong. Okay, what can I do better? And then he does better. Like, it's like, oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway, the reason I say that is because now we're going deep diving into the real love. Like, this isn't just like, this is all leading up to them. They're about to get married. They're going to become leader. Like, she's going to become like his queen. Like, it's just, his like empress, and they're going to rule her people now together, and it's going to be good. And then this war happens. And you start to see that fear. You start to see that sadness within them that's like, we just got this. We worked so hard for it. And you start to see more of the deeper love, not just like the sweet and puppy, kind of romantic stuff, but like the real deep love. This could end. I could lose you. I do not want to lose you. And it is heart-wrenching. It is heart-wrenching to watch. It is very upsetting, actually, because he loses her in the war. She sacrifices herself. It ends the war. I'm not going to go into much more detail than that. I mean, when you actually watch everything in context and not just my very watered down version, it is a mind-blowing sort of, it's like, because there are some twists and turns, and then you find out some truths and you're like, okay, I did not expect that. So that's why I'm not trying to put too much detail in this. But yeah, he loses her and he falls into a deep depression to the point where he puts himself in a coma, a magically induced coma. And everyone is grieving her loss. There is a kind of a truce made between the two tribes. I'm going to say tribes because that's basically what they call them too. I mean, like the translated subtitles, but between the two tribes, the celestial, the underground, kind of like, there's a truce made because she basically stopped the war and saved everyone. And so everyone is grieving her. Everyone is sad, especially the dude she crushed on before. What she hasn't crushed on since the very beginning, like after the whole kidnapping, and then after like learning about everything and then falling in love with the devil. That first dude, not even in her mind when it comes to nope. But he's still in love with her, so he grieves her too. To the point where he knows that the devil, being in a magically induced coma, even the dude from before helps to try to wake him up, because they recognize that they need him. They need his power. They need what he has, because even though that war happened, nothing's over yet. There's still a lot of things going on in this world. There's still a lot of the stuff happening with the villain, and he is the best shot they have. They need to wake him up. He doesn't want to wake up because in his magically induced coma, he is reliving, not just reliving like moments with her, but he's created this entire world of joy and marital bliss with her, experiencing things that they never got to experience while they're alive, because they just got to that point where they're about to be married, and then war happens, and then he loses her in the war. So it's like, so he has created, so like I'm crying throughout this, like, because he is just so happy and just so excited. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I'm tearing up now. Because he doesn't want to wake up. And I recognize that when you have, sorry, I haven't lost anyone like that I loved in a romantic way, but just people in general that I love. So, but he doesn't want to wake up from that dream. And you do not blame him at all. Like, it's just, you don't want to blame him at all because he's so happy. And that broke me. I cried a lot. Like, I'm trying not to cry right now. Just thinking about it. But yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. He does wake up. I mean, the series is not over. He does wake up. But basically he's still in that kind of state where he doesn't want to live on without her. He doesn't want to be in this world without her. It's just, it's devastating. It's heartbreaking. And everyone around him is like, we know, maybe not to the level you do, but we know. But we are not done yet. Now, oh, I have to be vague with this because I don't want to give it away. He finds out a way that he can bring her back. So he takes it. He even joins forces with the dude that he doesn't like, the one who's also in love with her. They're warned she may not come back the same way, but there is a chance to bring her back. So they're taking now. Also, by the way, I'm skipping over a lot of the story because there is a ton leading up to this. Because there's a lot of adventure. There's a lot of there's a lot going on. There's so much that I'm not talking about because I do not want to spoil it. And it also would take probably as long as 2 or 3 videos if I really were to get into details about the story itself. Because it's all very interwoven. But there's basically, he's able to bring her back, but of course she's not the same. But it's really sweet because he recognizes that she's not the same, because she's just like, whoa, who are you, dude? No, okay. And he's like, oh, this is not the same person that fell in love with me and I fell in love with. So how do I get her to fall in love with me again? What did I do the first time? So he's going through all these tasks. She liked this before, right? No, wait, she liked this before. Wait, no, I made a mistake about that. I'm not doing that again. So he's going through all these trials trying to get figure out how he can get her to fall in love with him again. And all this time, he doesn't quite see what's going on with the real villain. And you think that the real villain, it's kind of like the real villain. There was a blow to his operations, right? But he's not completely gone. So that's still under the surface. She has the key to undoing the villain, completely destroying the villain. So while the devil's trying to woo his fairy, there's stuff going on still. And you get to this point where he lost her. He doesn't want to lose her again. He just got her back. Even if she's not the same as before, even if she may not fall in love with again, she's alive. She's alive, and that's what he cares about the most. He's heartbroken because she's choosing a different path, seemingly, than with him from before. But he wants her to be alive. He wants her to be happy in whichever way that is. So he will agree to what she's doing. Even though what she's doing may completely destroy her. So when he finds out about it, he goes in her place. And I'm just like, that also broke me. That also, the amount of sobbing I did throughout the series, especially when it came to them and the whole dying thing. Yes, they're supposed to be immortals, but there's the immortal part, and then there's the we will turn you mortal, and then there you will be no more type of thing. And so that's the route this is going. So there is a happy ending. There is a happily ever after with them. But there's a lot in between from what I just said to the actual ending. And it's very packed in the last few episodes. It's super, super packed. So mind you, throughout this entire series, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of suspense. There is a lot of fear. There's also a lot of side characters that you fall in love with, that you really start to like, because they are very endearing. And you want a happy ending with them. You do. You really do. Excuse me. And yeah, so there's a lot. It is, 36 episodes and over an hour each, but this series really, really got me crying. And honestly, I think I needed it, even though I tried not to cry during this video when I was mentioning what I just did. That still happened. But oof, I did a lot of crying, and I think I needed that cry. I think I really did. Um, but there was another element, and I spoke about this in one of my other videos, and it's because I am a writer. I'm doing a series called The Chaos Chronicles, and it does have like gods and goddesses, and does have like reincarnation. Um, and it does have a lot of just, there is a journey that's being made. There is a reason for that journey and for the reincarnations, but my main character, um, she suffers losses immediately. Like, this isn't me spoiling my book, because this happens at the very beginning. So this is what sets her on her journey, is she basically loses her soulmate. She loses the one person that she had in all the bad things in her life. And there's also multiverses. Like there is like multiverse hopping. Like there is like going between multiverses. So that happens too in my books series. But basically there's a sacrifice made, and she loses her soulmate. And this is a guy who shattered his soul, like literally cannot be reanimated. Like basically pieces of his soul completely shattered and scattered throughout all universes. And you would think that's the mission she's on, is to get all the pieces of his soul to bring him back. But no, that's not her mission. That is definitely a side mission that she tries to do with her main goal, but she doesn't succeed. And I make that known. Like, I make that immediately known. So it's like, that's not something that towards the end book, like, oh, I thought we had a chance, why'd you get my hopes up? No, I put that immediately in the beginning, like, no, this is never gonna happen. So that's not gonna happen. But it's that brokenness of that one person, and you lose them forever. And like, I think that was part of it. But another part of it is that it's not just that I lost people, it's that character in my book, the one that is the soulmate, like the guy that's the soulmate of my main character, my main female lead. I created him, like I dreamt about him since I was like a preteen, like barely a teenager, and he wasn't really based off of anyone. It really was just this person that, like, who I'd want to be my best friend, who I'd want if I could have someone in my corner. It's this person that's like, what would have felt like if someone could have saved me or rescued me as a child when I was going through abuse? Like, what would have looked like to have someone there to comfort me afterwards, to support me, to stand up for me? Because I had to do all that work. No one rescued me. No one protected me. No one stood up for me. I did all that. I did the self-rescuing, and I'm still dealing with the consequences decades later. But I had that dream. This was kind of the inception of this whole storyline, my whole entire book series. And basically, my character, she had this mission that she's supposed to do, but she was reluctant to do it. There was cost involved, and she wasn't willing to pay that cost because she knew it was irreversible. So her soulmate, the love of her life that she grew up with, who was her best friend. So it was like best friends, like childhood friend to lover sort of thing. Like, we grew up together, same age, we're here, and we fought alongside each other in these terrible things happening to us, and we made it out alive, and we found our happily ever after. But we're on the precipice of this bad thing happening. And I know what I have to do, but the cost is too great. He makes that choice for her. So she forever loves and forever hates him afterwards, because it's like, we could have been together at the very end, but you chose for me. And while I'm still here, you're not. So, but that was a dream I had. about this person that doesn't exist, but I made this character based off of him. And that, I think that's why this TV show, why Love Between Fairy and Devil, kind of really hurt me. Because there was like a definitive deep love between these characters, and the loss is real and is felt. And I often dream of this made up person because I think, like, what would it be like if he were real? If I could meet him in real life? And maybe part of him was slightly influenced by, Beauty and the Beast. Well, not that this is like the 2017 picture of Beast, but the 91 is the one that I went and, saw when I was 5, and like when it came out. So like that's how old I am. But part of it was kind of based off of I guess influenced by the kind of, I don't fit in with anyone. I'm not quite what everyone else is, and we're definitely not each other's cup of tea. But I found solace in this person. I found a safe haven with. So basically, like, my two MCs in the very beginning are kind of like Beast and Belle in a way, except, he doesn't like look like a beast or anything. There's no transformation there. But it's that mentality. And so it really was like me throughout my life since having that dream, and since creating and world building the story that still is not done. And I have taken at least a couple years off of writing after my friend died. So, but it's searching for that without actually searching, because I thought that maybe I could find that in a person, but that's just it, is that I was imposing my dream onto other people because they aren't that person I dreamed of. And that was wrong of me. But it's still this grief, this sadness for a person that doesn't exist. This grief and sadness of a person that I lost that never existed. And so I guess maybe that's part of the reason why I cried so much during the series, because it's like, even though I like can't really like put myself in the shoes of one of those characters, just the absolute certainty of their love, the absolute certainty of, this is how we feel, and we will fight for it, and we will make this a reality because this is what we want, and we're not going to let people stand in our way. And that's kind of how I am. That's how I am as a person. And I do have to pick my battles with a lot of things because of my situation right now, being a single parent and all that. And I definitely financially cannot afford a lot of stuff. There's a lot going on with my life. Health-wise, my kids. There's a lot of factors. So I have to pick and choose. But I am the kind of person where I've made my decision. My decision might change based on other factors coming into play, but this is me, and I'm not going to shy away from that. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't be ashamed of who I... Sorry, camera. Ugh. I'm like putting my hand down on my desk and I accidentally moved it. Sorry. I was really getting into the emotion there. Yeah, anyway, that's really how I feel about a lot of things. So I felt a kinship in a way with those characters because I am that kind of certain person, and I've had people always doubting me or always tell me what I should be or how I should feel. I've never been able to be myself until I was actually free from dating, from being married to that psychopath that I was before. I think that's why I'm happy being single, just in general, because I get to be myself. I get to actually be me. I don't have to mask or hide who I am. I am allowed to be free. I'm not ashamed of myself anymore because I was made to feel ashamed. A lot of it could be the autistic stuff, but also the ADHD. I was made to feel ashamed of my very existence when it came to my neurodivergence. And of course, just being a woman in general, but I don't have to do that anymore. And it was this, I wasn't like jealous of these characters. Like I used to be trained to be jealous, but like of other people, of their kinds of fortunes and all that. But I'm not the jealous type, actually. Like I actually am the secondhand happiness kind of person. So any little moments during this series where the characters are really happy, I was super happy for them. Like they're made up characters, but it doesn't matter. I was so happy for them. I would get excited. I would giggle. I'd be like, yes, like I was ecstatic whenever there was a little win, whenever, they got to grow together and learn together. But it was, yeah, it was definitely what I already talked about before when it came to why I was sobbing. Um, I don't search anymore for that made up person, by the way. I don't search for that in anyone because I have to see the person for who they are. I can't like impose this imaginary character onto them. But there's still traits of the character that I would look for in a person, but I'm not searching right now, and I don't know that I will in the future. But there's also a lot of happy tears in the end because I was happy for these characters finding that in each other, working to make something a reality and working together as equals so that even when they make mistakes, they are apologizing. They are learning from those mistakes. They are there for each other. They're to support each other. They're not trying to fight against each other for anything. It's not a you versus me sort of thing. It's we're in this together and we're both struggling and we're both hurting. So let's find a solution together. And so there are moments, especially towards the middle and then, towards the end, where yes, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of heightened emotion when they're trying to make decisions because they want to protect the other. But there are times too where they make plans together. And you see that happening. Like you don't quite see them making the plans until like the thing happens. And then there's the flashback or whatever. That happens in a lot of series where there's flashback and they're like, they made this plan. Okay. That part wasn't as much a surprise to me, honestly, just because I have read so many books. I have seen so many series. Like that's not something that can surprise me. Like I am expecting there to be some sort of flashback because when something happens a certain way and if there's a certain twist to it, it's really hard to surprise me with twists these days. It really is. Like it's like I'm not trying to challenge anyone. I'm really not. Like I'm not trying to say like, can you create a twist that I could see? I'm not trying to do that. But just because I consume so much media, because I've read so many books and watched so many series, it's a lot of things aren't too much of a surprise. It's a good welcome surprise though. I do like some of the twists. So in this series there are some twists where if you weren't paying attention, yes, it would be you're like, "What?" No, but I saw some of them coming. But I was expecting the flashback. And when I got the flashback and I saw them made a plan together, I was like, I like that. That was good. But I like that they collab together. They work together for this end goal. So there were some happy tears, but there was a lot of sobbing for me in the series. It really got to me. I do highly recommend it, but if you've gone through loss, if you've gone through grief, if you have gone through if you've gone through that kind of stuff, it can really get to you. So be forewarned. There is definitely action and adventure. There is lots of silly little goofy moments here or there, interspersed and perfectly timed. It's just something I've come to expect from all K-dramas and C-dramas at this point. I mean, really, I'm not saying that there aren't good American shows. I'm not saying that. Just, it seems like there's a perfect formula that they are implementing that a lot of American shows just don't seem to be doing. I don't know. I think part of it is also because mythology in other countries are much longer than the colonial American, not the Native American, but the colonial American. That's of what is now. We're definitely a very, very young country that does not have a lot of history, really, in comparison to the when you look at other countries, like the history and mythology and the stuff that actually happened in history, like in China and Korea and Japan, the Philippines, like there's just India, like there's just so many countries out there that, so yeah, Sweden, Norway, like there's so many countries out there that just so long the history, and some of the history you think like there's no way someone made that up. No, that happened. Like that's some of the history is just stranger than fiction, okay? But it is much longer than what America is today. And I think maybe that's part of the formula of why I really love K-dramas and C-dramas, is because it builds on that history and that mythology that is so interwoven, so intertwined, so varied, and so much material to work with, especially some of the histories. If you look some of the histories of these countries, it's just there's so much and there's a lot to choose from. So I don't see an end to K-dramas or C-dramas, honestly, because there's just so much to choose from. There's so many things that they can just pick and choose throughout history and mythology, and they can do so many different spins on each one of those. And then every single series will be a banger. It'll just be amazing because, yeah. So I think that's part of the formula. I really do think so. Okay, this video is long enough. That's my overall review. I really tried not to give too much detail. I mean, I kind of skipped over a lot. And I'm not going to tell you what happened with the henchman. I'm not going to tell you. I cried. I cried a lot. Oh my gosh, his story is heartbreaking, okay? And there's some side characters where their stories are really heartbreaking too, and I cried with those as well. But I'm not going to tell you because that would give away a lot of the plot, the stuff that I want you to go and watch and enjoy. If you're willing to, of course, because obviously I can't. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so that's my overall review. I still do recommend it. But yeah, I think I'll do a review of some others. I definitely want to do a review of Love Game and Eastern Fantasy, because that I didn't cry as much during that until the very end. Holy cow. The last 2 episodes really got me in that one, okay? So I will have to do a review, but it just... And then A Time Called You. That K-drama. Oh! That one was really... That broke me too. That really broke me. That's... If you have not watched it, you need to go watch it. It's... That one has murder mystery, though. A Time Called You. So I'll have to do a review of that one. Anyway... whenever I do those, I'll do those. So, all right. Bye.